The physical scale of Russian nuclear deployment happening right now requires an immense amount of industrial and engineering momentum. Domestically, the pipeline is focused, with 3 new units under construction inside the Russian Federation. But the international export pipeline shows a different reality: 35 units at various stages abroad, with a high density of contracts across China, India, and Egypt. The technology driving this global footprint is the VVER, a Russian acronym for Water Energetic Reactor. The VVER is a pressurized water reactor. It uses water as both a coolant and a neutron moderator, operating with a primary and secondary loop system to generate steam for electricity. The current flagship of this fleet is the AES 2006 project, known commercially as the Generation 3 Plus VVER 1200. To understand how this modern flagship works, we have to trace 60 years of its thermodynamic and architectural evolution. Russia's current position in the global market is the direct result of methodically scaling the thermal capacity and safety architecture of a single baseline design from 1955. That baseline was the Novovoronezh nuclear power plant. The project moved from its initial terms of reference in 1955 to full commissioning by 1964. This diagram reveals the internal architecture of the original VVER-1 reactor vessel. Below the protective cover, the core produced a baseline thermal power of 760 megawatts. Coolant exited at high pressure, requiring the complexity of 6 separate circulation loops to manage the heat transfer. This architecture was built around the safety philosophy of the 1950s. Engineers worked under the prerequisite that no large leaks would occur in the primary circuit, essentially assuming the plumbing would not suffer a catastrophic failure. Because of this assumption, the reactor lacked the specialized systems required to handle a significant degradation in core cooling. Generation I proved the baseline physics were viable, but those early safety assumptions placed a limit on how much the reactor's capacity could be scaled. Throughout the 1970s and 80s, the focus shifted from domestic builds to the international export market. This led to the iterative Generation 2 and 3 models, like the V213 and V320, which were deployed at sites from Kola to Tianwan. Moving into these markets required a shift in safety philosophy to meet the demands of foreign regulators. The industry moved away from the old no-leak assumption, instead implementing comprehensive active and passive safety systems. This established the primary containment boundary as the new standard for handling failures within the primary circuit. The requirements of the international market forced the VVER platform to adopt engineered fail-safe containment, which provided the framework for Generation 3 Plus. That framework resulted in the AES 2006 standard, officially designated as the VVER 1200. This chart compares the scaling in thermal power, rising from 760 megawatts in the original design to 3,200 megawatts in the VVER 1200. This produces a net electrical output of 1,150 megawatts and reaches a peak thermal efficiency of up to 35.9%. To maintain this performance, the core utilizes highly optimized uranium dioxide fuel. It targets a maximum burnup of up to 70 megawatt days per kilogram of uranium, maximizing the economic performance of each refueling cycle. These specifications allow a single unit to produce up to 9 terawatt-hours of clean energy annually. To make this high power permissible, the entire primary circuit, including the reactor, steam generators, and pumps, is now housed within a dedicated containment building. The VVER 1200 achieved this 4-fold increase in capacity through refined core and fuel parameters, with the modern containment architecture providing the necessary safety envelope for such a high-output design to be deployed globally. The VVER 1200 has now moved from technical specifications into active operation. This is reflected in the commissioning of units like Leningrad 2-1 and the successful hot testing at Novovoronezh 2-2. Where the original VVER-1 was engineered for a 20-year service life, these Generation 3 Plus builds are designed for much greater longevity. As of 2020, this technology supplied 20.6% of Russia's total electricity. The domestic fleet now provides 28.6 gigawatts of net electrical capacity, a major expansion from the 1955 baseline.
The VVER 1200 occupies a significant place in the modern nuclear landscape because it represents the successful technical resolution of the engineering tensions seen in the 1950s enabling the baseline mechanics to scale into a high-yield energy asset.